Hello. Hare Krishna. We'll continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We had started reading chapter 9, the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And I believe in the last class we had read text 3. So therefore today we'll start reading from text 4 onwards. तस्यापि आत्मजस्य विपुत्र स्नेहान् असमवर्तुना संस्कार यतो पश्येत् विपनितस्य पुनः शौचचावाहति कर्मण्यः अनाविग्रहिता इति सर्वशिक्षया शिष्येन हितम् हिताय Ravana's father's mind was always filled with affection for his son, Bharat Maharaj. Therefore, he was always attached to Jadabharat. Because Jadabharat was unfit to enter the Grahastha ashram, he simply executed the purificatory process up to the end of the Brahmacharya ashram. Although Jadabharat was unwilling to accept his father's instructions, the Brahmana nonetheless instructed him in how to keep clean and how to wash, thinking that the son should be taught by the father. But Jadabharat was Bharat Maharaj in the body of a Brahmana, and he outwardly conducted himself as if quite dull, deaf, dumb, and blind. Actually, he was quite unknown to them. He knew perfectly well of the results of fruitive activity and the results of devotional service. In the body of a Brahmana, Maharaj Bharat was completely absorbed in devotional service within, Therefore, it is not at all necessary for him to execute the regulative principles of fruitive activity, as confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sthanusidasya dharmasya samsiddhim haritoshanam. This is first canto, second canto, takes Hari. One has to satisfy Hari, the supreme personality of God. That is the perfection of regulative principles of fruitive activity. Besides that, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Dharmasanishitapurusi Vishwaksinatakasurya Notpadayet Yadiratim Shama Eva Devava. Duties, dharma, executed by men, regardless of occupation, are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the Supreme God. These karma kanda activities are required as long as one has not developed Krishna consciousness. If one is developed in Krishna consciousness, there is no need to execute the prior regulative principles of karma kanda. Srila Madhavendra Puri said, "O regulative principles of karma kanda, please excuse me. I cannot follow all these regulative principles, for I am fully engaged in devotional service." He expressed a desire to sit somewhere beneath a tree and continue chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Consequently, he did not execute all the regulative principles. Similarly, Haridas Thakur was born in a Mohammedan family from the beginning of his life. He was never trained in the Karma Kanda system, but because he was always chanting the holy name of the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted him as Namacharya, the authority in the chanting the holy names. As Jada Bharat Maharaj Bharat was always engaged in devotional service within his mind, since he had executed the regulative principles continuously of 3 lives, he was not interested in continuing to execute them, although his Brahman father wanted him to do so. In this beautiful section, we are seeing Bharat Maharaj's father very much attached to him. And therefore, he is trying his best to execute his duty of giving instructions to Bharat Maharaj. And we are seeing Maharaj Bharat or Maharaj Jad Bharat extremely alert, extremely alert. Now, the question comes here is that many of these regulative principles are favorable to the practice of devotion service. So, why did Bharat Maharaj not, no, Maharaj Jada Bharat not execute them? Like these principles of cleanliness, they very much bring a person to the mode of goodness. So, these principles very much bring one to the mode of goodness. They are very favorable for devotional service. And why was Maharaj Jada Bharat not executing them? Srila Prabhupada explains the purport that Bharat Maharaj is executing the purpose of the regulator. The purpose of the regulator principle is absorption and steadiness. Steady absorption in steady absorption in Krishna. And Bharat Maharaj was already doing it, and because he was already doing it, therefore not executing this principle, not having any adverse effect on Bharat. This is what's the proper explain. But many times you see devotees think we are also transcendental. And many times devotees think we are also transcendental. And because we are transcendental, we don't need to follow. So many times devotees feel like that. Because we are transcendental, no problem. For us, there is no problem. Devotees many times feel like that. So that is a big mistake. So sometimes one becomes senior devotee, and one feels that one is so Krishna conscious. We can do anything, anywhere. So sometimes devotees, they become little seasoned. They come to the temple hall, they don't offer obeisances. So they feel big, obsessed for neophyte candidates. They just barge into the temple hall. And then the temple hall, uh, uh, so in the temple hall, they're having all discussions here, there, everywhere, topics are going on. Because Lord is also made to hear all that. No? Sometimes when I feel that the Vaishnavitic is meant for neophytes. They stop offering obeisances to the other devotees. Panchayat They stop calling the other devotees as Prabhu. Other they invent newer and newer nicknames. Guru has given a very sweet name. Unfortunately, our devotees now find out some nicknames. Like if somebody name is Shankar Pandit Prabhu, or one may start calling him, hey Pandit! Very unfortunate, like that. So, so one starts, uh, as soon as Mahaprasad comes, immediately hand goes in the mouth, like that. Mahaprasad for neophytes, like that. But this is not the standard of Chaitanya Charitamrita story. Chaitanya Charitamrita standard is when Mahaprasad comes, the devotee becomes so ecstatic, singing the glories of the Mahaprasad, they forget to take Mahaprasad. That is CC standard. If that standard is there, that means we are transcendental. Yeah. So, so if that standard is there, that means we are transcendental. Uh, so many times devotees they uh, sometimes one becomes senior, one thinks okay, 4:30 morning program standard, therefore neophytes. We are senior devotees. We can get up any time. The clock will start when we get up, not like that. So this is a very dangerous trajectory. So assuming that we are transcendental is a very dangerous trajectory. Our acharyas have very meticulously followed each and every regulative principle to the utmost limit. The Haridas Thakur was not able to chant his prescribed number of rounds because of old age. It was not 16 rounds. His prescription, his self-made prescription was not 16 rounds, but 192 rounds. And he was not able to chant because he was so old. And Shilanda's type of conclusion is because I'm not able to chant, let me leave my body. Mahaprabhu was trying to convince him, know your Namacharya. No need for you to chant. You're already a liberated soul, you're liberating the entire universe. Shilanda's type of determination. Mahaprabhu gave in to his request, determination. Shilanda's said, I want to leave my body. Okay? We are friends. And therefore, the next day, Mahaprabhu came to Sattagopur. And Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had placed the lotus feet on the fifth Shiladas Thakur, and he was clasping under the lotus feet of the Lord, uh, gazing at the lotus face of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, chanting the holy name Shiladas Thakur. Srila Sanatan Goswami was not leaving his regulated principle of doing parikrama, not just coming for the money program, the parikrama of over 200 days. Not the small one, the bigger one, 42 kilometers. The small one which we do. I don't think any of us have tried out the bigger one ever. We only do the small one, 21 kilometers. There is a double one. He used to do that. He was not able to do that. He was thinking, I leave my body. What's the use? Krishna had to come and convince him and give him Govardhan Shila. You don't lotus feet and stick and everything. So you do parikrama on this Shila as equivalent. Lord Krishna himself came. So our acharyas have not given him regulative principles. The Gadadhar Pandit, he was serving the deity, he was not able to stand, he was not able to get up, his hand was not reaching. Uh, Lord Gopinath's face, head, neck, hand was not reaching. So he didn't give up his deity seva, he was still stretching. He was not able to get up, he was not able to decorate the Lord. The Lord sat up, the deity sat up. So the Gopinath deity was sitting down. And the Lord said, "Look, now you get rest." So he was not able to stand. He was so not able. However, I given extreme adherence to the regulated system, not to give it up at any cost. That is the example which our Acharya has said. Srila Gopal Krishna Maharaj was not able to offer deities, but he would not resist, he would still offer. It takes so much time for it. It's so painful. He was not able to offer obeisance with old age, not able to offer obeisance, but still he would offer. And not once, three altars, three also. Not that, okay, once, sometimes we do shortcut, okay, all three altars, single obeisances. Huh? Triple prayer, single obeisances, job done. Huh? No. So it was very, very, so regulative principles are helpful for us actually. Therefore, see, one difference is that when it came to uh, so Maharaj Jadabhada's father was just a Brahmana. And therefore, many such regulative principles were only being performed with or for fruitive mentality or some fruitive gain. But the devotees perform the similar regulative principle not for fruitive gain but for putting in bhakti or devotion and service. That is the point. One of the very strong reasons why Maharaj Jadabharat was not following regulative principles also is one of the very important reasons is because uh, he was extremely careful not to get caught in any kind of worldly dealings and in any kind of worldly affairs. And therefore, he wanted to show a superlative example of uh, a dull and dumb and deaf fellow. Although he was super intelligent and super empowered, but he wanted to give a very extreme example of such a dull fellow that he is rejected by anyone and everyone at the first sight. That was a more important reason than that he was just placed on the platform of, that he was completely absorbed in the platform of Bhakti. Yes, he was completely absorbed on the platform of Bhakti, that is true. But he wanted to give a very extreme example so that he is rejected from all kind of social uh, uh, is rejected from all kind of social acceptance or social counting so that there is no scope for him to commit mistake this time. That was the whole point. This was the same reason why Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Thakur Maharaj also did not complete his college. His reasoning was the same, that as soon as I complete graduation, immediately there's a job. Pressure will come from the society, job. And as soon as job, wife. As soon as wife, family. So he didn't wanted to go into that entangling road. So therefore he dropped out of college. So his only job, Krishna Sankirtan, Prem Sankirtan. And only family, whole world is the family. Positive. That is the point. That is the point. That is the reason, actually. So therefore, you see, uh, uh, but so what we can learn from this? We can learn the lesson of alertness. Maharaj Jadabharat was so alert. Maharaj Jadabharat was so alert not to get deviated from his Krishna consciousness. And he just wanted to extricate himself from all these worldly things because he didn't want it to he wanted to extricate himself because he didn't want it to get trapped. Mind it, Maharaj Jadabharat had no such opportunity. He had no such opportunity of connecting, staying in a temple, the association of a devotee. There was no such opportunity like that. He was staying in a family setting. He had no such option of staying in a temple setting. And that is why he was extra careful. That's why he was extra careful. So we understand that when it comes to material association, we also have to be extra careful. And we exercise our extra carefulness by very strongly clasping on to the positive aspects of Krishna consciousness which are avoided. See, this goes to show that so you see, that is why we can understand. In Kali Yuga, there is a great benediction. So the acharyas have established temples where the devotees can come together. The acharyas have emphasized association, and therefore we can stay with the devotees. And this kind of benediction and favor was not present even in Satyuga. This kind of benediction and favor was not present even in Satyuga. And therefore, we can see that Sri Maharaj Jadabharat is struggling. and he's trying to extricate himself from the material details because he's all alone. There is no such, there is no such, no, there is no such opportunity for. It is explained for the same reason only the Prabhupada's father Gaur narrates the Prabhupada because although Gaur was very kind and respectful and submissive to any kind of demonstrated sadhu, but he was still not sure that in that enunciate life whether the Prabhupada will be able to purely practice. So for his protection, he married him. And he found Muchizan Sri Thakur Maharaj, Gaur would have himself handed over his son. And had Prabhupada found that the Muchizan Sri Thakur Maharaj, Prabhupada said it's a go. Both sides it would have happened. They actually explained that the, the, the understanding is that only because he was not having that opportunity. So this temple community, this Sivakun boys community, is such a great benediction. You see, because it resolves the struggle to such a great extent. Otherwise, you see the superlative austerities and stretch Jadabharat Maharaj is doing just to safeguard his Krishna consciousness, just so that he is not disturbed. What to what extent? Just so that he is not dragged into the family affairs, mundane affairs. So we can take inspiration that whatever it takes to absorb ourselves in the uh, in the favorable atmosphere, the spiritual atmosphere, we should be ready to pay the price for that. That is the point. So Jadabharat Mother is paying a very solid price. So this is paying a very solid price. What an austerity! What an austerity! What an austerity! To be able to bear all the torture, mockery, ridiculing, embarrassment of everyone. And okay, he's a dumb fellow, he's an outcast. Just to safeguard Krishna consciousness. And that is a beautiful lesson we can learn here. At this kind of determination is required to advance Krishna consciousness. However, the test for us is not so severe. The test for us is not so severe. Anyway, now, what was the severe situation for Maharaj Jagabharat? Our situation is not so severe because we are given positive association of devotees, which gives so much nourishment, strength, protection for us to move forward towards service. That is the point. Let's read further. Richi Dano Ivasmakaro Sandam Se Arjatarishyans Yavaha Ya Vyahati Sapranana Sirasupadi Savitri Krish Vasantikam Patma Abhiyan Abhi Asaveta Rupa Rayam Asha Jadabharat behaved before his father like a fool. despite his father's adequately instructing him in Vedic knowledge. He behaved in that way so that his father would know that he was unfit for instruction and would abandon the attempt to instruct him further. He would behave in a completely opposite way. Although instructed to wash his hands after evacuating, he would wash them before. Nonetheless, his father wanted to give him Vedic instructions. During the spring and the summer, he tried to teach him the Gayatri Mantra along with Omkar and Yahuti. But after 4 months, his father still was not successful in instructing him. Yes, the person doesn't want to learn, nobody can teach him. No? So, like that. No? So, bhakti works only for those who wanted to work. No? Like that. So, if one is stubborn or adamant, oh, nothing can work. Is it no? 6. I don't know. Not explain. In the translation, it gives the utterance of the names of heavenly planet. Who, Huva, Swaha. Who, Huva, Swaha. Reality. So Pranava Shiraha is Omkar and then Who, Huva, Swaha. The names of heavenly planets. Take 6. Evam Sutta is Atmani Anu. Anuragave Sutta Chitta. Saucha Adhyaya. Prataniya Guruvana. Shishya Sanati. औपपूर्वना कर्माणि अनादियुक्तान्यपि समांशिष्टेन भाव्यम् इति असत् अग्रः पुत्रम् अनुशस्य स्वयं तावत् अनादिगतः मनोरथः कालेन भवन्तेन स्वयं क्रिया एव प्रवर्तत उपसंहृतः. The Brahmin father of Jadabharat considered his son his heart and soul, and therefore he was very much attached to him. He thought it wise to educate his son properly. And being absorbed in this unsuccessful endeavor, he tried to teach his son the rules and regulations of brahmacharya, including the execution of the Vedic vows, cleanliness, study of the Vedas, regulative methods, service to spiritual master, and the method of offering a fire sacrifice. He tried his best to teach his son in this way, but all his endeavors failed. In his heart, he hoped that his son would be a learned scholar, but all his attempts were unsuccessful. Like everyone, this Brahmana was attached to his home, and he had forgotten that someday he would die. Death, however, was not forgetful. At the proper time, death appeared and took him away. Purport. Those too attached to family life who forget that death comes in the future to take them away become attached and unable to finish their duty as human beings. The duty of human life is to solve all the problems of life. But instead, people remain attached to family affairs and duties. Although they forget death, death will not forget them. Suddenly, they'll be kicked off from the platform of a peaceful family life. One may forget that he has to die, but death never forgets. Death always comes at the right time. The Brahman father of Jadabharat wanted to teach his son the process of brahmacharya, but he was unsuccessful due to his son's unwillingness to undergo the process of Vedic advancement. Jadabharat was simply concerned with returning home back to Godhead by executing devotional service to Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. He did not care for the Vedic instructions of his father. When one is fully interested in the service of the Lord, he does not need to follow all the regulatory principles enunciated in the Vedas. Of course, for an ordinary man, the Vedic principles are imperative. No one can avoid them. But when one has attained perfection of devotional service, it is not very important. Okay. What is explained about Bharat Maharaj's father, Maharaj Jadav's father was attachment to the family affairs, owing to which he had overwhelming attachment for his son. That is also highlighted abroad by making it clear that his ambition was his son becomes a learned scholar. And this mentality is rather being condemned in the Shastras. So therefore, Prabhupada is explaining that a person in material affairs will forget death, but death is never going to forget the person. Very beautiful. So actually, therefore a devotee has to understand that I cannot be slack in my Krishna consciousness. Because we may not do things in bhakti on time, but death is always going to come on time. So what to say of death? Our everyday also happens like that. Like many times we may not do things, our prescribed things on time, but sleep comes on time. Hunger also comes on time. So sleep, hunger, no? They take the time on time. Is it? But if we are not on time, then we stand to be a big loser. So therefore, the devotee is very careful about time. A devotee should be very careful about time, not to be at all careless. Because if we are careless about time, If we are not achieving much, sleep comes on time, night comes on time, isn't much. The day ends on time. They may not have achieved much, but the day ends, isn't much. In the same way, every day ending on time, the life also ends on time. So therefore, a devotee should be very focused in where one is utilizing one's time. Is it getting utilized in feeding mundane attachments? Or is it getting utilized in serving Krishna? That is the point. So therefore, Maharaj Jadavada's reaction was quite appropriate because his father's attitude was to make him a high class citizen, well respected, cultured, dignified, royal middle-class, which Jadavada didn't want it to do. Sometimes it is very good to be dull and dumb. We apply the same Maharaj Jadavada principle when we go to career and corporate life. We don't try to show ourselves the big hero. Okay, anything you give me one X, I'll complete 2X. No, then they start giving you 4X. Uh, This is not that is they're not like Krishna Bhavagrahi, no? They give you one mark of brain is good enough. No, like that. That is the point. Because one of our devotees in Pune, Dasan does. He was topper of CIP. He was very expert. He got some job in government somewhere, no? And they gave him a task for 5 days. He completed it in 2 days. Boss got shocked. He said, "No, this guy is so talented." Huh? They start giving him 4 times the work. So he was crying. He was miserable. 16 hours his work was so miserable because the boss understood this is his, this is his caliber. So therefore, Vaishnavu taught us, all of us, that okay, if you are given a target deadline of 10 days, you can complete it in 5 days, no problem. But don't submit it. Next 4 days, what you do? Oh, read Bhagavatam 8 hours a day, no problem. Huh? You completed a task, no? 10 days. So Vaishnavu himself used to do the same. And 10 days task, 5 days complete, next 4 days, you just read 8 hours, prepare notes for the lectures, everything, make worksheets. Uh, ninth day night, he would submit. So 10th day. Boss was so happy. Oh, 10 days task submitted, 9 days, wonderful promotion. Like that. So they have to be smart. They have to be smart. But less people, we show them full potential, they will exploit. This is same reason that Maharaj is not showing the full potential. His full potential, uh, his parents would have never left him. Is it not? So sometimes it's a great validation to be average. Uh, Sometimes it was my thing, why this I did not make my 10 pointer? No? It's very good to be average sometimes. When we are average, we will not have too much expectation from us. I will say the average. So, he cannot do much. Very good. No? Like that. Better to be average. and to show one's full caliber in the next fight, like that. So we apply the Jadabharat principle. Actually, Jadabharat principle is very, very valid. If a material fails, we just do the needful, so that we can save more and more time for active service. That is the point. But this attitude should not be applied in doing service for the Lord. Huh? Sometimes devotees do the reverse. When it comes to seva, they just do the needful, the very basic minimum, the very basic minimum. You know, very basic minimum, like that. Not an inch more than that, like that. So to save time, to do what? To do what? You know? So that is the point. It is do what? Self-gratification. So that is very deadly actually. Because chanting, one will be chanting as if one wants to just get rid of it as soon as possible. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare. खत्म हो गया है ना. And they give feedback, hanging somewhere in the temple hall for the Lord, दिन भर आपको I don't want to see Mala one day. Like that. So like that. Sometimes we do some devotees. As soon as morning program ends, huh? And you just offer message to proper. By the time you get up, that devotee is gone. And you say, किधर गया था? And one peeps out on the scene. He's at the last point, about to vanish, last point of the road, about to just vanish, मतलब what are आज तो Sunday है, आज क्या निकलेगा? So like that, sometimes devotees do the reverse side. When it comes to Krishna consciousness, we just want to do the basic minimum, rock bottom basic minimum, and save all the time and energy to do what? Reinforce. Is it right? So Maharaj Jadabharat attitude has to be applied in material affairs, not otherwise. Not otherwise. Right? So, so sometimes people devotees wrongly misapply the Jadabharat attitude. That's really correct. See, no doubt Maharaj Jadabharat's father was quite dutiful. Huh? There's no doubt about that. Uh, but the point is that is not something. Excellent. अतः यर्यासि सति स्वगर्भजातम् मिथुना सपत्न्या उपान्नयस्य स्वयम् अनुसंहाय प्रतिलोकमादाय. Thereafter, the Brahmana's younger wife, after entrusting her twin children, the boy and the girl, to the elder wife, departed for Pati Loka, voluntarily dying with her husband. पितरिवर्ते मतारेण मतान् प्रभावविलास रायं विद्या विद्ययामे पर्यवसिता मतयो न पाद विद्याय जडमते इति भ्रातु अनुशासना निर्वस्था न्यावृत्तसन्तः. After the father died, the 9 stepbrothers of Jadabharat, who considered Jadabharat dull and brainless, abandoned the father's attempt to give Jadabharat a complete education. The stepbrothers of Jadabharat were learned in the three Vedas, Rig, Sam, and Yajurveda, which very much encouraged the fruitive activity. The 9 brothers were not at all spiritually enlightened in devotional service to the Lord. Consequently, they could not understand the highly exalted position of Jadabharat. It takes time and time, very big process. Especially the translation. Degraded men are actually no better than animals. The only difference is animals have 4 legs and such men have only two. These two-legged animalistic men used to call Jadabharat mad, dull, deaf, and dumb. They mistreated him, and Jadabharat behaved for them like a madman who was deaf, blind, or dull. He did not protest or try to convince them that he was not so. If others wanted him to do something, he acted according to their desires. Whatever food he could acquire by begging or by wages, and whatever came of its own accord, be it a small quantity, palatable, stale, or tasteless, he would accept and eat. He never ate anything for self gratification because he was already liberated from the bodily conception which induces one to accept palatable or unpalatable food. He was full in the transcendental consciousness of devotion or service, and therefore he was unaffected by the dualities arising from the bodily conception. Actually, his body was as strong as a bull's, and his limbs were very muscular. He didn't care for winter or summer, wind or rain, and he never covered his body at any time. He lay on the ground and never smeared oil on his body or took a bath. Because his body was dirty, his spiritual effulgence and knowledge were covered. Just as the splendor of a valuable gem is covered by dirt. He only wore a dirty land cloth and a sacred thread, which is blackish. Understanding that he was born in a Brahmin family, people would call him a Brahma Bandhu and other names. Being thus insulted and neglected by materialistic people, he wandered here and there. Purpose. Till Narthadas Thakur's son, they husbandi nahi sansara samachara. one who has no desire to maintain the body, or who is not anxious to keep the body in order, and who is satisfied in any condition, must be either mad or liberated. Actually, Bharat Maharaj, his birth as Jadabharat was completely liberated from material dualities. Yeah. So Bharat Maharaj in his birth as Jadabharat was completely liberated from material duality. He was a Paramahamsa, therefore he did not care for bodily comfort. Yeah. Here we can see Maharaj Jadabharat living a life that was completely transcendental. Papa describes he was full in the transcendental consciousness of devotion and service. And therefore he was unaffected by the bodily duality. He was unaffected by the bodily duality, the dualities of the bodily conception. So whatever would come of its own accord, that is what he would take. See, for a practicing sadhaka, or an inquired sadhaka, this bodily duality seems to be charging a very heavy toll. But for one who is absorbed in Krishna Shakti, the duality do not touch and affect him. This is a lesson. This goes to show that the more we are materially conscious, or the more one has materialistic ideas, the more the material affairs will impact us, affect us. But one who is having spiritual consciousness, when the material ups and downs stop affecting such a person. It's sweet person. Next level. Idatu parasa aha karma vedana ihamanan swabha trigvi apicedara karman rupitas tadati karoti kentuna sama vishama nimadika iti vedana vinyaga अधिकारन स्वदे पुरे साधिनी अपि अमृतावा अभ्यागमरति. Jaladharas used to work only for food. His stepbrothers took advantage of this and engaged him in agricultural field work in exchange for some food, but actually he did not know how to work very well in the field. He did not know where to spread dirt or where to make the ground level or uneven. Brothers used to give him broken rice, oil cake, chaff of rice, warm-eaten grains, and burnt grains that had stuck to the pot. He gladly accepted all this as if it were nectar. He did not hold any grudges and ate all this very gladly. But the platform of Paramahamsa is described in Bhagavad Gita 2:15. Samadukka sukham dhiram so vritta tvaya amrita tvaya kalpate. When one is callous to all duality, the happiness and distress of this material world, one is fit for amritatva, eternal life. Bharat Maharaj is determined to finish his business in this material world, and he did not at all care for the world of duality. He was complete in Krishna consciousness and was oblivious to good and evil, happiness and distress. As stated in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Leela, द्वैते भद्रभद्रज्ञान स्वाभाविकता द्वैते भद्रभद्रज्ञान स्वभावनुधर्म एबालय बंद सब. In the material world, the concepts of the good and bad are all mental speculation. Therefore, saying that this is good and this is bad is all a big mistake. One has to understand that in this material world of duality, to think that this is good or that is bad is simply a mental concoction. However, one should not imitate this consciousness. One should actually be situated on the spiritual platform of neutrality. Yeah. So this tagging of good and bad is simply owing to mental consciousness. Nothing is good, nothing is bad. But when we tag things as good and bad, then what happens that uh, what is bad becomes repulsive to it, and what is good will become very attached. So a devotee goes beyond this conception of material good and bad. Everything is good because everything can be used in the service of the Lord. That is the point. And therefore, whatever a devotee gets in his hand, he has to use it for serving. So that is the point. Therefore, for a devotee, world is all positive. And the devotee therefore doesn't differentiate between good, bad, and figures. Let's read further. Page 12. अथर्वदाचित्तस्वाम् विठलपतिर्नृत्यं कालये पुरुषपाशान् आलापतापत्यताम्. At this time, being desirous of obtaining a son, a leader of the Vikars who came from a Shudra family wanted to worship the goddess Mother Kali by offering her in sacrifice a dead man who is considered completely an animal. Yogas meant that Shudras worship demigods like goddess Kali or Mother Kali for the fulfillment of material desires. To this end, they sometimes kill a human being for the deity. They generally choose a person who is not very intelligent, in other words, an animal in the shape of a man. See it well. तस्य दैवमुक्तस्य पशुपादनं तत् अनुचरन् परिधावन् समये तमसा दया अनादिगत आकस्मिकेन विघ्न केन विरसनेन मृगा वराहदिव्या संरक्षमाणा अंगिरः प्रादरसतमपश्य. This leader of the Descartes captured a man animal for sacrifice, but he escaped, and the leader ordered his followers to find him. They ran in different directions but could not find him. Wandering here and there in the middle of the night, covered by dense darkness, they came to a paddy field where they saw the exalted son of Angira family, Jada Bharat, who was sitting in an elevated place, guarding the field against the attacks of deer and wild bulls. अतः त एन अनवान् अवमृश्यामि कर्मा निष्पत्ति मन्यमाना बद्धा बद्धता रसनय चंडिका पालिनो The followers and servants of the Deccan chief considered Jadabharat for these qualities quite suitable for a man and they decided that he was perfect choice for sacrifice. Their faces bright with happiness, they bound him with ropes and brought him to the temple of goddess Kali. But some parts of India, animalistic men are still sacrificed for the goddess Kali. However, such a sacrifice is only performed by Shudras and dacoits. Their business is to plunder the wealthy and to become successful, they offer an animalistic man before the goddess Kali. It should be noted that they never sacrificed an intelligent man because for the goddess, the body of a Brahmana, Bharat Maharaj appeared dead and dumb. Yet he was the most intelligent man in the world, nonetheless, being completely surrendered unto the personality of God. He remained in that condition and did not protest being brought before the deity for slaughter. As we have learned from the previous verses, he was very strong and could have very easily avoided being bound in the rope, but he did not do anything. He simply depended on the Supreme Personality of God. Before the dating first started. Yeah, as we learned from the previous, was very strong. Could have easily avoided being bound in the but he did not do anything. He simply depended on the Supreme Personality. Got it for his protection. So the Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur describes surrender unto the Supreme Lord in this way. Maravira Puri Jo Ichha Tuma Nityadasa Prati Tuadhikara. My Lord, now surrendered unto you. I am your eternal servant, and if you like, you can kill me. Or if you like, in any case, I am fully surrendered. 6:15. All after this, all the thieves, according to their imaginative ritual for killing animalistic men, paid Jadabharan, dressed him in new clothes, decorated him with ornaments befitting an animal, smeared his body with scented oil, and decorated him with dinner. Sandalwood pulp and garlands. They fed him sensuously and then brought him before the goddess Kali, offering her incense, lamps, garlands, parched grain, newly grown twigs, sprouts, fruits, and flowers. In this way, they worship the deity before killing the man animal, and they vibrated songs and prayers and played drums and bugles. Jalabarat was then made to sit down before the gateway. And this verse, the words for Vijnana, according to their own ritualistic principles, basically. According to the Vedic Shastras, everything must be done according to regulative principles. But here it is stated that thieves and rogues devise their own process for killing an animalistic man. Tamasic Shastras give instructions of how the sacrifice of an animal like a goat or a buffalo before the goddess Kali, but there is no mention of killing a man, however dull it may be. This process is manufactured by the dacoits themselves. Therefore, the word so within is used. Even at this time, there are many sacrifices being conducted without reference to the Vedic scriptures. For instance, in Calcutta recently, a slaughterhouse was being advertised as a temple of goddess Kali. Meat eaters foolishly purchase meat from such shops, thinking it is different from ordinary meat and taking it to be the prasad of goddess Kali. The sacrifice of a goat or other similar animal for the goddess Kali is mentioned in the Shastras just to keep people from eating slaughterhouse meat and becoming responsible for the killing of animals. The condition shown as a natural tendency towards sex and meat eating. Consequently, the Shastras grant them some consent. Actually, the Shastras aim at putting an end to these abominable activities, but they impart some regulative principles so that generally eaters. Yeah, the Shastras aim at putting an end to these abominable activities, but they impart some regulative principles so that gradually meat eaters, sex hunters will be rectified. Okay, so let's stop here for today. We'll continue again. But further in the next class. Class in Bhagavatam. Hare